10th straight game for him. That's an NFL record. Vikings rolled the Jets 37-17. CeCe, what's the key to Adam Thielen's growth here?
Well, one thing is Kirk Cousins coming there. So now from a day-to-day, week in, week out, the Vikings are going to throw the ball as an offense. They're going to rely on the judgment of Kirk Cousins, the judgment that he's going to have to display. They're going to throw the ball 35 times a game. And as the passing game goes in Minnesota, that's how the team's going to go. On and off the field, you can see Adam grow. He was one of those kind of guys that if he has one bad practice when he comes in as a undrafted free agent, there's a good chance that his locker might be cleaned out. So when guys grow up under that type of pressure in the NFL, people don't trust him on the special teams. He's not a great route runner. He's not big enough. He's not fast enough. Like, he's developed himself into a player. Like, he's been underrated for a couple years, even on their team. People might think that when you look at their team that, oh, Stephon Diggs is the best wide receiver. No, he's not.
He's paid like it, though.
He's played like it 1 year.
No, I said he's paid like it. My point
is because that just happened. Thielen got paid a couple years ago. So Thielen is the best wide receiver that they've had. And very, very unique-wise, they have Darrell Hazel, who is a great wide receiver coach. He was the wide receiver coach at Ohio State. So he was able to inherit Thielen and Diggs at an age where they were mature. Then you get Kirk Cousins. They play in a great environment to be able to throw the ball. But yesterday, windy New York, playing against the Jets, you could see that's the reason why you go out and get Kirk Cousins. So the ability to be able to sign Kirk Cousins and Thielen where he was. He's a student of the game, great route runner. His speed is underrated. You can't press him all the time. He can play inside, play outside. He is not a slot receiver, all right? Even though he is white, people are like, oh, no. He's got speed, plays in the slot, but predominantly plays outside the numbers. Much respect to his game and how he's grown his game.
I got a question for you, but the reason I brought up the money is he saw after last year he was great, and he had signed at the time looked well, we now know, below market value contract. He saw his teammate Stephon Diggs cash in huge. No disgruntled, no renegotiation, just came out and is having the best year of his career, one of the best years through 7 games any wide receivers had. How improbable is it, C, to have nearly half a season of football and not a single unproductive game? Like, how difficult is what he's doing?
I would say in this era where they're throwing the ball, and you got your quarterback throwing for 300 yards. I tell them, hey, man, they got 300 yards on the stat sheet. Somebody got to get them numbers. You know, so for me to see someone doing it, I'm very happy with him. But in this inflated NFL, it takes away from that because they're breaking all types of records.
Sure.
I mean, we don't know what a bad season for a quarterback is now. What, 4,000 yards? That used to be Marino and them. That used to be the high water mark. So that has a lot to do with it. The rules have a lot to do with it. You can't be physically imposing from a defensive standpoint on the wide receiver. So all those things lead to the type of numbers that we've seen.
And the change in quarterback, I'm sure, has a lot to do with it. He has a good relationship with Kirk Cousins, and they seem to match up very well, even though I love Case Keenum, who also had a great relationship with everybody.
Oh, you almost had it.
All-around great guy.
Yeah, we can throw the ball now. Case is gone.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. Moving on to the Patriots now. Roll that tape in Chicago, New England, trying to win their 4th in a row. This one without Gronk. First quarter, Tom Brady finds Julian Edelman. Edelman doesn't rhyme, but it still works. Brady had 275 yards, 3 TDs on the day. Third quarter, Pats block a punt, score one of their 2 special teams touchdowns on the day. They're up 31-24. Here we go. Last play of the game. Bears down 7. Mitch Trubisky tries the Hail Mary. Kevin White makes the catch, but it's a yard short. Trubisky needed like another yard of strength on that throw. New England holds on to win 38-31. Bittersweet as they do lose Sony Michel to a pretty bad knee injury. Here's quarterback Tom Brady after the win.
Yeah, I think they had, you know, a certain game plan they tried to execute, and they made some plays, we made some. Obviously, it came down to about 1 yard, and but I think for us to get a win on the road was something we've been talking about, something we needed to do, and we played a little bit better today. I think there's still a lot of things we could do better, and the Bears have a good team, so it was a great team win.
Because they are the Patriots, there's no word on what is happening right now with Sony Michel. They are very tight-lipped, as they seem to always be. See, what did we learn about the Patriots on Sunday?
It's very, very hard to get the types of advantage they had in the special teams. Special teams has pretty much been eliminated from the NFL. With the kicking rules and everything, if you look at the number of impactful special teams plays in the NFL, you say, man, we got to win the special teams, we got to win the offense, the defense, 3 phases. No, not in the new NFL, because special teams is not a third of the game. But when you can come up with, from frontline players, starting players, Cordell Patterson, Dante Hightower, these are starters for them. When you have them playing special teams and they come up with these dynamic plays, Cordell Patterson, after coughing it up on a special teams blunder before that, to be able to help the Pats, that was needed, that return that they had. But the biggest thing coming from this game was the injury to Sony Michel. Like, is he going to be available? He started the season with a bad knee. That's why he missed a lot of training camp. He had a bad knee in college at Georgia. Now, is this going to continue being? Because he has been their most consistent offensive weapon. Gronk, back problems that cropped up late in the week. Now, that back has been bothering Gronk since college. Now, that's something that we always want to watch. So, Sony Michel, if he comes out of this game with a significant injury, I believe that alters New England and how they're able to do offense, because he gives them that punch running the football. Burkhead on injured reserve. James White, we know James White. Nice out of the backfield, third down back, but James White is not a runner of the football as consistent as Sony Michel would have been, and what he has shown for New England this year. And that offense the last 2 weeks, you can see in how many times they rushed the ball, how they felt about Sony Michel and that offensive line.
The Sony Michel, and we don't know, you're right, Jenna, the severity of it. We do know it was painful, because this was one of those plays where if you watched it, when he got twisted around, the ball wasn't jarred loose. He let go of the football. To me, it looked like as a responding, pardon me, to the pain from being twisted around on his knee.
When you see an athlete do that, at that point it becomes, something else is more important than this football.
Yes.
When you let that football go and you're in the middle of and the play is not finished, look, it's your natural instincts. And that's the good reason to believe that it's a significant injury, and with it being to a knee that he's had problems with.
You saw it, and then he was couldn't walk off the field, needed guys on both arms. But what you touched on in the beginning is the story of this football game outside of the injury. Every single statistical category the Bears won. Third downs, they won. Turnover battle, they won. Rushing, passing, total yards, time possession, everything they won. And they lost the game. They were down 14 late. Why? Because special teams. Like, you can't give up 2 special teams touchdowns, have a chance to win. And just once again, the Patriots find a way. In a game where they lose the turnover battle, where they deal with an injury, where they don't have Gronk, where the other team puts up 31, and their offense, I understand they scored 38. For now, they've scored at least 38 4 straight games. But it's misleading. Their offense was not great yesterday. Brady was not great yesterday. How'd they do it? They kicked the butt in special teams, like finding a way to win. We showed the highlight of Cleveland, which every week invents a new way to not win, to look good, to look like a competitive team, to look like a tough team to play, and to find a way to lose those games. The Patriots do the exact opposite. Sometimes they do what they did to the Colts. They just dominate you from start to finish. And then there's a game like this. They were down 17-7 against the Chicago Bears, and then Cordell Patterson returns the punt. It's a 1-score game, and then they block a punt, return it for a touchdown. Like, just finding a new way to win every week.
Look, we're nitpicking here if we're going to find something like negative about what the Patriots are doing. But if you look at Tom Brady, he has been turning the ball over quite a bit more than he did ever in his career. Are you at all concerned about that? Is that just a progression of his game or of his age?
No, we have to watch. We have to watch because, you know, we'll give Tom Brady benefit of the doubt, but we still have to analyze him in the past. They're still not a team that can recover from turnovers. We saw that defense. That is not a defense that has a whole bunch of speed, and that is not a defense that you want to be able to depend on. Trubisky scrambling around. You see how slow that defense was? Like, that's who they are. So, Tom, in turning the football over, you don't help your defense. You're not going to have that dominant performance from your special teams the way they did. But what to watch for is that offensive line. Marcus Cannon, right tackle, out. Let's see how long he stays out. Now, they double-team, triple-team Khalil Mack. Belichick wanted to make sure that Khalil Mack was not Lawrence Taylor, like he said he was in the press conferences this year. But the inability for Tom, especially Super Bowl, how was the Super Bowl changed? Fumble in the pocket. Games this year, fumbling in the pocket. Yes, Jenna, we must watch that.
And it's really odd for Tom Brady. He's turned the ball over in every single game this year. He has 7 interceptions on the season. For some context, since 07, there have been, it's been 7 years, 7 full seasons since 07 that he's had fewer than 10 interceptions. So, like, he's on a pace right now for 14, 15 interceptions, which is nothing like what he's had since the very beginning of his career, before he was Tom Brady like we know him today. And so, yeah, it is absolutely something to watch, because that is one area, one of the reasons the Pats have almost always won these types of games is they win the turnover battle. Their quarterback has been oddly putting them in a bad spot. And when you look at his quarterback rating, it's 99.7. Any other year, that'd be awesome. This year, that's outside the top 10. So, like, you do have to adjust your eye on all these numbers, because 99.7, that's a historic quarterback rating, except for in 2018, when it's just slightly above league average. So, it's not they've been winning in spite of Tom Brady, but he hasn't been the MVP he was last year.
All right, let's take a break. Coming up, did the Jags make a mistake holding on to Blake Bortles as long as they did? That's next on First Things First.
Jen, I think Tom